This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, good evening. My name is Mary Maslowski. I am the chairperson of the Historic District and Historical Commission. I'd like to call to order the meeting for Wednesday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. In accordance with Governor Baker's March 2020 order, in accordance with the open meeting law, this meeting will be held remotely, and all efforts will be made to allow persons to participate to the best extent possible. This meeting may be broadcast on Channel 18 or simulcast. If not, the meeting will be posted to the website first thing tomorrow morning. So I'd like to start with a roll call. So Jean Steiner?
Jean Steiner, here.
Bob Doan?
Bob Doan here.
Brendan Lowney?
Here.
Julie Eldridge?
Julie Eldridge here.
All right. So let's start. The first item we have on our agenda is the demolition delay, the proposed demolition delay bylaw. Where we last left off, we had reviewed the most recent version of it. And I understand, Jean, you are going to attend a Zoom call tomorrow on demolition delay bylaws.
Right. I think it's a statewide thing that's being sponsored by the Massachusetts Preservation Group. So it should be interesting.
Now, does anybody have further comments on the draft as it is currently? I think we had discussed having the demolition without a permit, having a 2-year halt on building permits, and demolition by neglect, and extending, putting in a provision for demolition by neglect, and then also extending our demolition delay from 12 months to 18 months. So I think those were the high points that we had originally talked about.
That's what I remember, I think.
Right. And Mary, if I could just mention, I asked, and I think she did, asked to have sent out the latest draft of this. And I believe it was sent out maybe 2 days ago. I incorporated some of the feedback I got from Sarah Korcheff.
Okay.
And so there were a couple of things, aside from a couple of typos that she found, which I appreciated. There were just a couple of things that I added, and then one thing that I wanted to mention that she suggested. So I think the thing is, one of the, in the demolition inspection, she wanted, or she felt that we should just clarify it a little bit, and I added a sentence that said, "This must occur prior to the commencement of any new building." She felt that that needed to be really spelled out. And then under violations and penalties, she felt we should include a statement that says, and I did last sentence, "This includes cases that meet the definition of violation by neglect."
Okay.
So just to add it on a little bit. And then for the emergency demolition, is it there? No, wait a minute. It was somewhere where we said, we talked about the building inspector. Oh, in the application procedure. So we talk about having a report by a licensed engineer addressing the condition of the building. And what she said we should add, and I did, the engineer must have experience evaluating historic buildings or be experienced in the rehabilitation of historic structures. So I thought that those all were good points. And then the one thing she did talk about was that before we finalize this, we definitely should sit down with the building commissioner and make sure that he or she can is comfortable and can meet the constraints included.
Yeah, Jean, the additions you mentioned were not attached to the agenda.
They're in red. Oh,
Uh,
no, she didn't attach it to the agenda.
Oh.
She just sent it out, I think, like 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
So if you look in your email, you should have the latest version.
Okay.
I
Do you
know, I
know
looked
what
up and I
that-
looked at the agenda that was posted just before we started.
Yeah, because it looks like it's an 8/19 draft and not the later draft.
I guess it's 9/23, right?
Okay.
Sort of thought she'd be able to plug it in there, but maybe not.
Okay. So I think it's worthwhile to, considering you're doing the Zoom session tomorrow.
Right.
I guess my suggestion would be to take any feedback you get from that meeting, incorporate it,
Right.
and then I think it would be appropriate in our next meeting to kind of refer it to the building inspector, planning, conservation, all the kind of permitting boards and administration for feedback. You know, we may get good feedback, we may get bad feedback. But I think it's worth waiting. I was originally going to suggest that we do that tonight, but I think it's probably worth waiting for for you to attend the seminar tomorrow. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think
Anyone?
that'll be a good testing ground for it.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt like another day or whatever. We could always do a special meeting in a couple weeks or something, couldn't we? To go over this or something?
That's true.
Yeah, we wouldn't be looking forward until Springtown meeting anyway.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Any other
So Sarah
comments
was-
or?
So good to get back and really be specific about some things she felt. She did say
You're frozen, Jean.
the demolition by neglect that I borrowed from Orleans. She said she didn't know if that had ever been used, but that it was in several off-Cape towns. So
Okay,
Okay.
good to know. News is always a challenge, but doesn't mean
Yeah.
we shouldn't try.
That's right.
All right, any other comments about or conversation about this
Great job, Jean.
way at this point?
it's nice that it's in one piece now.
No, it's great.
That was a great job, Jean.
It's just a matter of sitting down and pulling it together.
Mhm.
Just if you can close yourself in a room for a while, you can do a lot of this stuff. And it's definitely not the most stimulating job in the world, right?
They're funny.
Uh,
So I guess the next thing on our agenda, if we're ready to move on, would be the West Harwich District of Critical Planning Concern. So just to update all of you, Planning Board actually voted to recommend it to town meeting. So that will go for a vote on Saturday morning. Town meeting is 10 a.m. on the football field at Monomoy High School. It is a zoning ordinance change, so it will require a 2/3 majority vote of those persons attending. So if anyone present or on the audience is so inclined, we can use any bodies we can get to be present to vote for it. The vote is important because we have 12 months from the date that the Cape Cod Commission approved it, which is middle of December sometime, I would say around the 12th or 13th of December. So we have 12 months to put in sufficient regulations to start the District of Critical Planning Concern. So the CCC voted to say that it meets the minimum requirements. So it is important that, I think it's important that the DCPC bylaw gets approved at this town meeting. Otherwise, we would likely be starting from scratch in West Harwich in have to do it all from the beginning again.
Yeah.
So these are kind of the baseline zoning districts. There are guidelines to come, but for now, the zoning district would be in place.
That's good.
Did anyone have any comments, concerns about the ECPC?
No.
No,
No.
I thought the map was helpful.
Mm.
So Charlene Greenhalgh gave a nice presentation last night. It was wasn't lengthy, but it was a quick overview of the highlights of what it does do and what it doesn't do and where the boundaries are. So if anybody's interested, you may want to watch the Zoom from last night's planning board meeting. We had two public hearings last night. That was, I believe, the first one. So it was pretty short and sweet, but she did cover all of the highlights as to what the zoning the zoning bylaw district would do. So if anybody's interested, you can certainly watch that in preparation for Saturday. Anything else about the DCPC?
No.
All right, so the item I have is Community Preservation Committee. So two things about CPC. Bob is going to be kind of representing CPC on Saturday at town meeting, and we are voting for all of the applications from last year. So Bob, did you want to talk about anything for this weekend?
No, other than, support is welcome if people can show up. But the historic ones were approved. That was the update of the historic areas for $34,500. That was submitted by us. The Chase Library is being put in for $15,000, and the cemetery in West Harwich has an article in for $75,000. We did not allocate all the money we had for historic, so there'll be some money carried over for next year that we can do. The other part of the news is that we did extend the applications until October 30th, just because of all the COVID and everything else. We thought it would be beneficial to give a little extra time for that. Other than that, I think that's it.
All right. Any questions, comments? We might have the shortest historic meeting ever. I would just again encourage anybody that can attend town meeting and feels comfortable attending town meeting to attend on Saturday. Again, it starts at 10 o'clock. Check-in will obviously be earlier. There was a robocall that went around about kind of the details of where to park and where to check in. These CPC articles are on the agenda. There are, these historic applications, and all of the applications have been, anticipated getting their money in April or June, April or July 1st, and they are now, waiting until September, October. So, any support you can give to both the historic or other applications would be greatly appreciated. And then, like Bob said, there was historic money left over last year that we hadn't spent, and we had spent out our other funds. So, hopefully we'll see some additional historic applications in this round for next year's funding, which we would anticipate being on springtime meeting.
May I ask a question, Mary?
Of course.
Yeah, so what is the role of our committee? I know we can submit articles like we did for the the further update of the records. But can we get involved with other organizations that want to do historic preservation to a building, whether it be the town or whatever? Or do
So
we?
typically what we've done is this will be my third round of CPC applications, maybe my fourth round of CPC applications. So what we have done in the past is asked all historic applicants to come before the Historic Commission
Right.
for our input and comment and support. And that has gone to CPC for their consideration.
Mhm.
So to that extent, I would encourage anybody that is anticipating putting in a historic application to reach out so that we can put them on an agenda so that they can get onto our agenda, get their application in on time, and get any feedback or support from us in a timely fashion. I think we had said December. Bob, do I remember that for supporting boards and commission input?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was I think mid-December, even the end of December.
Yep. So we certainly would expect to be doing that. As far as partnering with other entities, as far as doing other projects, the only challenge we really have is the staff and the time in order to kind of fulfill the end, the end game of the applications. But
Right.
certainly, if there are ideas out there, we should be looking at them.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Bob?
Yes, it does.
All right. Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Nope.
Then I would anticipate us having our regular meeting on the third Wednesday in October.
Mm-hmm.
That means with everybody's approval, I will ask to check the schedule and see what it looks like and see if we have applications as well. And as soon as I hear back from Elaine, I'll reach out and kind of give you all an update as to whether we have applications and whether there's a conflict that night. But otherwise, if anybody wants something on the agenda, yeah?
Yeah, I just want to say we probably want to schedule a meeting anyways, just to follow up on the
Right.
changes.
Agreed.
Find out what
Agreed. I just want to look and see whether there's a conflict see how many meetings are scheduled on the third Wednesday. There were an awful lot this past month.
Right.
So where we didn't have any applications, it made more sense for us to push our meeting a week where there were no applications and no public hearings advertised. So I will reach out to the powers that be and see what it looks like for this upcoming month. But I would anticipate being the third Wednesday at 6 o'clock like usual, unless we reach out and move the meeting date around.
I'm flexible. I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Anybody
Same
else
here.
have? Bob and Jean, would you be able to do the week after if necessary or the week before if necessary?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Jean?
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, good.
Same
So
here.
I'll reach out to Elaine and we'll see what it looks like.
Okay.
And if anybody wants something on an agenda, let me know. We'll make sure it's scheduled. And that goes for committee members and the general public alike.
Okay.
If there's nothing else, I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Bob Jonas moved to adjourn. Julie Eldridge is seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Jean Steiner?
Yes.
Steiner?
Oh, yes. My thing
Bob
not
Jones?
working?
Yes.
Brendan Lowney?
Yes.
Julie Eldridge?
Yes.
And Mary Maslowski is yes. So we are adjourned till our next meeting next month, either some Wednesday in October. I will follow up accordingly.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Thank
you
you.
too.
Bye-bye.
Where's my thing?